Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be replacing some CPU and RAM in my brother's computer that I kind of gathered up for him. Right now, I only have a new CPU. The computer he has right now, it's an older Dell system. It has a i3-4130 and 8 gigabytes of memory. And so what I'm going to do is this computer only has 2 slots of memory. And so I bought a 16 gigabyte kit on eBay. And I bought I believe this is an i5 4690S, so slightly lower powered, but still a pretty good leap above the i3 4130 CPU. And so we're just gonna kind of switch those out and hope that, you know, it runs better, more smoothly, as playing games with our younger brother, so they can both play games at the same time and have a good experience with it. So come along with the adventure. I was gonna try to run benchmarks, but it's going so slowly that I didn't want to wait. Oh my gosh! So I'm just gonna switch it out, and we're gonna see how well it does. All right, so I've taken the case out of its corner. You can see down there are only 2 RAM slots. There are 4 each in here. So that's 8 gigabytes total, and I'm going to try to make that 16 gigabytes. It's good that there's Wi-Fi built in, because I didn't even notice that, and I brought a Wi-Fi adapter over here, so I'll have to update that. That's good to know, to put that in there. I recently put in a GTX 1660 Super, so we could play games, but with that i3-4130, it's just a little bit too old, a little bit too slow to be able to play modern games at pretty much any resolution or quality. So what I'm gonna have to do is, switch out that CPU, and I think it will work perfectly fine. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. A handy dandy screwdriver. You're gonna take this fan and heatsink out of the slots. You can tell that these are the correct screws because they line up with holes down at the motherboard. If I were to undo these ones right there, those are connected to the heatsink. From the fan to the heatsink, and so that would just take the fan off if you wanted to replace the fan. But this one's doing fine, it's not loud. So we're just gonna take it off from the motherboard, and we'll replace it after we put the new CPU in. All right, so I've got that loosened. One thing to think about is to loosen opposite corners and then slowly loosen the other 2 corners so that there's not too much tension on one corner or side of the CPU. Both tightening and loosening. Kind of pull up on that, get that connector out of there. And we'll clean that up in a second. So we've got that cleaned up as much as we can. There's always going to be, some type of residue in there, but it's diminishing returns depending on how long you spend on it. But this will be perfectly fine for the new CPU. So now we're just going to take that old one out of there. We're going to push down a little bit on that, bring it up. All right, so we got that out of there. We'll clean it up in a minute, but let me get the new one. Here's the 4690S. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off real quick, just to make sure that there's no, dirt and grime on there. I think there was a little bit left on there, and I got it nice and clean. Well, cleaner. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in the slot. All right, so so you can see that little arrow in the bottom left right there on this. And there's a little tiny arrow thing at the bottom, at the left of this. It's like a white little, angle right there. And so I'm gonna put it in the same spot that is. And you can wiggle it around, just make sure it's in a slot, but you don't need to press down on it at all. And that's fine. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to kind of lower this, and then this just slides down and pops in. So push down, slide it, and release. So now it's in there. Ooh, baby, I'm super excited about this. I'm gonna go ahead and put some thermal paste, new thermal paste on this CPU, and then I'm gonna put the heatsink on. All right, so we're gonna kind of just lower this down and make sure that each corner is lining up with their hole. So, and then I'm going to tighten it down. Okay. All right, I tightened that down, and now we're going to plug in the CPU header, the fan header, and it's not too much space for my huge hands, but I get it down there and push it in like that. Sweet. And I'm just going to take another look around, make sure everything else is plugged in correctly in the right places, and so yeah, I've got to remember to set up the driver for that Wi-Fi module. That's good. Okay, that's good. Sweet. All right, so the RAM finally arrived after about a week, and it is a 16 gigabyte kit, 2x8, Yongxin Sheng memory. It's PC3 12,800. So 1600 megahertz. So I'm gonna put these in. I actually wanna hope that it boots into Windows faster, because right now it takes 10 minutes for the computer to boot into Windows. I have no idea why. But wish me luck. The south bridge of this motherboard doesn't have a heatsink on it. I don't know if that's a manufacturing error or if it was taken out or if that's how it's supposed to be, but generally there's a heatsink that's supposed to be around that chip. I don't know if that's causing problems or whatnot, but I mean, it is a super minimalist board. So I don't know if it's a heating issue that's possibly causing things. There's a couple things other than that I'm gonna check. Obviously I'm hoping that the RAM, replacing the RAM boots quicker, makes the system quicker. I want to check the SSD. I want to check its read and write speeds. And I realized there's actually two drives that were supposed to be in like some sort of array, but they aren't. Only one was showing up. The video card barely fits in there. I'm hoping I'm getting a different video card for him, because this is a little bit big and like fat. And so I'll put this one in mine in a few weeks, and then I'll put a different one in here. So it's a little bit smaller, and hopefully it will fit better. But yeah, let's go ahead and take this RAM out. Previously, he has two 4 gigabyte sticks, and yep, there's on the right there, and it's only 1333 megahertz as well. So we'll get another additional upgrade to speed there. Right, grab a stick. Gotta line it up with those. Gotta line up the slots right down there. So put in one side and put in the other. There you go. And push down firmly on both sides. Get the other stick. And it's blue, so it looks nice. It's pretty cool, actually. And nice. That actually looks really cool. Okay, now I'm gonna put it back together. All right, here we go. Waiting for that boot. Okay, that's BIOS. I'll let you know when it boots. 10 minutes to boot, but at least it recognizes the memory. So that's not the problem. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check a couple things and see what I find. So I'm not seeing anything bad in terms of temperatures. Like, I mean, this doesn't tell me like which one's which or whatever, or if one's Southbridge or something like that. But you know, nothing seems alarming. Everything seems like it's supposed to be where it is, and no overheating and stuff like that. So I don't think it's an overheating issue which was causing it to be slow. But we'll try to, you know, look at the SSD and try to maybe clone it to another disk. So, wish me luck. Okay, so I did crystal disk mark on the other SSD, which is of the same kind, and I actually get worse numbers. And so it's probably not the SSD. Booting slowly, and not sure exactly what's going on, so I'm going to clone the hard drive, or the SSD, and put the new SSD in here, see if that fixes the problem. If that does, then it's a hardware issue, probably. But if it doesn't, then it could be software, and I'll try reinstalling Windows and see if that fixes the problem. All right, so we put the new SSD in, and we're checking if that fixes the problem. If it doesn't, I'm gonna try reinstalling Windows. And it's only been a couple minutes, but that's plenty of time to give the go-ahead to reinstall Windows. So that's what I'm gonna do. I personally am gonna install Windows on the cloned hard drive, so the new targeted drive, because I want to keep the original files intact just in case. Huh?